All righty. Got it. Recording here. All righty. Welcome, everybody. This is day 3 of 3 ways to your survivor story has the power to attract great clients. We've had a fantastic conversation on Monday about confidence with Kara Marie, on Tuesday. Nope, that was on Tuesday with confidence with Kara Marie. And then on Wednesday with Kristen. And that was about connections, the connections that you can make with yourself and with others through your survivor story. And today I'm meeting with Bonnie, who is going to be talking about, we're going to be talking about clarity. For those of you who don't know me, I am Barbara Bolton Schreiber, and I'm the founder of Sisters Rocking Courage. And Sisters Rocking Courage is this group of women entrepreneurs that are coming together, rising together, lifting each other up as we step forward in the clarity, finding the clarity of what we were born to do. So Bonnie Miller, introductions go to you.
All right. First of all, Barbara, I just want to thank you for creating this space for all of us women. This is what you just said earlier when we were talking this morning. You said, you know, as we talk about our stories, we create healing for others. And so it's such an honor to be a part of helping others heal themselves as we do for ourselves as trauma survivors. And I want to start by saying I'm Bonnie Miller, I'm from Canada, and I'm a women's empowerment coach. And I'm new to this coaching world, but I'm loving it because I see the value in it. And I see just with people that I know day to day, it's my whole mindset has shifted enormously over the past few years. And it has opened up so many doors for me to dare to be me. And so I want to talk about clarity and how when it started, there was no clarity in my life. There was absolutely no clarity in my life. And that's because I came from a life of scarcity. I came from a life of feeling that I wasn't worthy, feeling that I was never enough. Being the youngest of 10, growing up on a farm, being poor, losing my dad at 5, the trauma of that was something that I could never identify with till later on in my life when I started to see patterns of where I became a people pleaser and I was doing everything for everybody else because I was never enough, right? So I was following other people.
I was looking for them to tell you that you were enough.
Absolutely. And I didn't get that because I was attracting the wrong partners. I became a drinker and I'm not ashamed of that anymore. I don't feel any shame for that anymore. And because I stopped over 2 years ago now, and I'm so on a path of self-love, self-care, that now I've become unstoppable. And that's what this is all about. We have to go through that process to heal and to recognize and to become aware. So the clarity comes in when you see all these little puzzle pieces, right? There's like, our life is a series of puzzle pieces, and we're looking and we're going, I don't know if I should go there, because we're doubting ourselves, right? Doubt does not give clarity. Feeling not good enough doesn't give clarity. So it's until we start a journey of self-love that we start to see clarity. We start to look at the pieces of the puzzle, and we start to see the pieces of the puzzle as being our greatness. And it's just been a beautiful journey. And I'm so honored to be in this group with you, Sisters Rocking Courage, because this is where I can stay aligned to that. I can continue to see that clarity all the time.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I know when we first started working together, there was this connection of, you know, when you were talking about sometimes we attract not exactly the healthiest people for us, let's just say.
Right.
Right? Because it's what we're used to, and we're tough, right? We've been through enough, and we're like, you know what, we can handle it. If they just get a little more love, and it doesn't matter male or female, what relationships, if we give them a little bit more love, then they'll see the good that they have in them, and then, you know, it'll work, right? Mutually beneficial. So it's
Exactly.
interesting because when we get around each other, we don't always see the beauty within us. Like it takes a mirror, a reflection of other people around us. And no matter who we surround ourselves, we are being mirrored.
That's beautiful. I love that. That's so true. Because all those years of not of being around the people who were not good for us, for our soul, just made us look ugly in the mirror, right? Like that's how we saw ourselves. And then all of a sudden we start to surround ourselves with people who are loving, who are grateful to be in this world, who are changing and transforming their lives. And it's like you just want more and more of that because it taps into something beyond just this physical body.
Yeah.
And we start to tap into that soulful side of us.
Well, and we talked a little bit about this. I know when you and I first met, you didn't realize how do you say this? You didn't have a full understanding of your story. And so when we talk about mirroring and reflecting, when we were talking, you had told me that your father passed when you were 5. He'd been sick from the time you were 4. You're the youngest of 10. And then by 15, were you 15 when your mother passed away? And to just, I'm not a huge person on labels, but that's a really powerful statement to say that you were orphaned, the youngest of 10. So your siblings had gone on with their lives. They were married, they were having children, and you didn't have parents. And so there was a piece of this that you just took it as that was your life. But
Right.
when we were having the conversation, I said, Bonnie, my goodness. So as you start to say that, like the coping mechanisms that you put into place, well, of course. Yeah. And that takes two parts. So that provides clarity. So once and we've talked the other 2 days about cracking that door. Melissa's on the call. We've talked about cracking that door. And when somebody starts to crack that door for you and let the light in, you can then start having grace for yourself.
That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, with clarity comes confidence, comes having the courage to do more and more of what is great within us.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not to, I think we as people pleasers, you know, doing things like getting on a video and talking is like, oh, you're just bragging. You know, we used to see, I used to see that as, well, no, I don't want to show myself. Who's going to really listen to me anyways, right? Those kinds of things. And now it's like, no, it's my obligation to share because we all need to have that positive impact in our life from different sources. And if I can be one of those sources, then that's my obligation in my life. You know, I want to do that. I'm at a good place now where I can share that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and when you talk, I just hear such a peace and calm. Like I know you work with joy, vibrancy, and freedom. Maybe it's vibrancy, joy, and freedom. Did I get them out of order?
Yeah.
But you can have those with such a calm confidence. It can be both and. And so I love talking with you about this because you and I were very similar. And this is a trauma coping mechanism where we can talk shiny object and squirrel syndrome, right? There were days you and I were working together, literally both working on our businesses together. And we were talking about like, oh, I've got notes here and I've got, how do I get these organized? Right? Because I still have some sticky notes over here.
Yeah.
But
it's like, I'm such a scatterbrain. That old, you know, limiting belief, right? I'm such a scatterbrain.
Yeah, well, and part of it too is the protection because we're afraid that we're going to forget something or this is going to be important. And what if I don't hang on to this? And so there's this whole piece where we hang on to the bad of our story and we need people around us to mirror the good of our story.
That's
And
right.
and so there's this piece with you that I see, and with me also, that keeping that hanging on to all those others, the squirrels and the shiny objects, doesn't happen for me as much anymore. Because now I know, well, it's that whole greater truth that I know what I know, what I know. I know the direction I'm going. I know what I was born to do. And I know why all of those years, what happened to me was happening for me.
That's right. Yes, that is so true that, all my life I was the victim, right? I was in victim mode. Everything was happening to me. Um, my relationships, they're bad men, they're treating me badly, they're bad people, And yeah, until I finally zoned in on me. Hey, whoa, what's happening here? I'm yeah, it's you, Bonnie. Hello, wake up. And it was an awakening for me. And the whole tagline of vibrancy, joy, and freedom, that's my big tagline, because that encompasses my body, my mind, and my soul.
Yeah.
And so I just want other women to learn how to tap into that, because that's what we all really essentially want. We want vibrancy, we want energy. That means we need to listen to our bodies, right? We need to feed our bodies, right? We need to work out, we need to get exercise, right?
Yeah.
And for the joy, I mean, it's our mindset. Attitude is everything. So having a mindset, working on our mindset, and there's so many interesting things we can do to make it fun. And that's what I'm interested in helping women do, is make this a fun journey. Doesn't have to be hard work. It can be a beautiful, fun journey, and that's mindset. And then we get into so that's joy, yeah. And then we get into the body, mind, the soul. So that's the freedom. When we can start living our truth, when we can start speaking our truth, living our truth, teaching our truth, then we are free. We just, freedom is such a huge thing, right? And there's freedom in abundance. So giving gratitude every day, that I have incorporated into my life every day. Awareness and gratitude, I have to say, are the two big things that are important for me every single day. Awareness and gratitude. Yeah. And that sets me free, because I feel then in control. I'm in the driver's seat, and that makes me feel free. I can get in and drive wherever I want to go.
You can.
It's my choice.
Well, and what's amazing about that is opportunities happen for us now. When we were living in pain, we knew what every day was going to look like. We knew what was going to happen next week, for the most part. Yeah. Except like there was going to be more things that were going to come down on top of us, but we knew. Now, this life that we've chosen is always a surprise. Next week, like we may be talking to people next week that we never even knew existed. Right. I want to go back to something you said that was so powerful, Bonnie. Living our truth, talking our truth, speaking our truth, and teaching our truth. When you were going through those steps, was one of them more challenging?
Teaching.
Yeah.
Who am I to tell people, right? So it's that old limiting belief. Who am I to tell people that, right?
Yeah.
But when we start to do it, we start to see the evidence that it is impacting. People do want to hear. Yeah. People do need to hear.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. So for me, talking about my truth was probably a little bit harder, because I was afraid for what feedback I was going to get.
Right.
But you're right about the teaching part, because that's when we become really vulnerable. And as trauma survivors, vulnerability is that big elephant, right? It's the thing that can trigger, I know that that's a tough word, but that it can trigger us to withdraw again. And that's why we need to surround ourselves with women who can see the best in us, that mirror the best in us.
Yeah. And who believe, belief is a big part of it too, right? Believing in ourselves. And the more we do that, all of those things, the more clarity we have. Everything just becomes so crispy clear to us when we're really on fire, when we're really tapped in, when we're really aligned with our true selves.
I want to go
And
back. Yeah. And I want to go back to something else that you said that Dr. Melissa Liborski says too, who's on this call, is movement. Oh my goodness. Part of the healing process, part of finding your clarity. She had an exercise yesterday that you do this tree thing. And how we'll probably, she and I are going to do an interview, because I'm just amazed by how often have we just screamed, vocalized. You were talking about it last Tuesday in your live about how to move the vibrations and the energy. Talk more about moving that through your body and the power that that has. I
yeah,
haven't done that in so long. I stopped singing back in high school.
right. So for me, so I do Awakening the Dancer Within, as you know, and in there now I'm doing Facebook Lives every Tuesday evening at 7. And I'm talking not so much about it as dance sometimes, but more as just movement, and how movement is not just good for exercise for the body, it's good for the mind and it's good for the soul, right? And when we're moving our bodies, you feel that energy moving throughout your body. And I choose deliberate songs. I choose songs that have so as we're listening to music, we're listening to words, and the words are resonating within us. And as we're listening to those words, we allow our bodies to just move. And I was using a Pilates ball last week, I think 2 weeks now in a row, and just how that's a great way to start, because it's slow. It's slow, and it's good to start slow, because you're just allowing it to come into your body, that energy to just come into your body. And so I loved how I was learning from this myself. I had a Pilates ball years ago, didn't do much with it, and I sold it or got rid of it. And so I just got this other Pilates ball and just started using it. And I'm like, wow, this is great. This is a great way for women to just start to experience what it's like to listen to music that they allow themselves just to resonate through their body and move to that, because that's where we also can get clarity too, right? We're tuned in. We're tuned into that area, that soul, and things just start to become very clear and powerful. There's something to do with power and clarity. I don't know.
Chantal's on the call too, and she's she's a biker. She bikes every single day of her life, and some of her best ideas, well, all of her, I don't know, can I say that, Chantal? Is it all of your best ideas? Go ahead.
I think so. Yeah, I actually am big on movement. I taught dance yoga for years, and biking. Yeah, I am totally. And Bonnie, by the way, I'm also Canadian, so that you know. I hear the accent.
Lovely.
But I say yay to movement. That's the way to get unstuck mentally, is to move the body first, and then the mind. Yes, Melissa. Yes. Move.
I just read something this morning about Caesar, the dog whisperer, was talking about when dogs fight each other, that when they're done fighting, Melissa's nodding her head too. Yeah, they shake it off. Melissa, do you want to talk to about that really quick? No? They do.
No, I mean, I love that. I mean, it makes so much sense. And you see that in nature all the time, like ducks get in a tussle, animals get in a tussle, and it's like, and then moving right along. So we see that in the animal world, but one of the things I always talk about too is we see that in the human world when you watch children who are allowed to move through their natural expression. Right. That, that kind of energy that they know they're feeling this intensity. They know what to do to move it. And then it's like, yay, moving right along. Like they're not carrying it with them.
Barbara, can I put a plug in about what it is?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's called the fight, flight, freeze response. So in the wild, when animals are feeling threatened and fighting is a threat, they will literally, after they're done, this is researched and this is documented, they will go back in nature and shake it off, because the hormones of the stress hormones have to be released. So that for us human beings, we hold that back in our mind and we say we shouldn't be shaking, we shouldn't be doing this and then the other thing. We clamp down and we get sick.
Yeah.
Animals will release, they will shake naturally. So then what happens is that they recalibrate, literally homeostasis. The body always seems to wants to balance itself. So that's a reaction. That's what Caesar was talking about.
Wow, that's great, Chantel. I like that. And you know, I think though that for women who were more allowed to express feelings. So for women, the way we shake it off is through crying, through tears. You know, I've spent a lot of my years crying, but it was healing. It was my way of shaking it off,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah, I'm a crier.
Well, and you
And,
have pictures too, Bonnie, of you. You also, you have that barrel from when you were 6 years old
Yeah.
that you used to climb into. Yeah, it was safe.
Yeah, found
And so
my
I think-
safe haven.
It's interesting because I think for me, I used to hear children are to be seen and not heard, and dry up those tears, or I'll give you something to cry about. And I think from those of us that were growing up in the 70s, 60s, 70s, those might have been common. Karen Marie was talking about mantras. Those are some mantras that we've carried forward. And so it's interesting to see, because when you say about crying, I'm like, oh, I went 20 years without crying.
Wow.
So what does that do to the body? And
Yep.
so as we talk about this clarity piece and we talk about more movement, because even I was working with another coach, and even as I'm walking, the way I walk actually creates more stress on my body. I didn't know that. And I'm like,
Right.
oh, like everything that I do, that I've become. So as we bubble up and reach this new level, and now we're like, oh, this is what life can look like. But wait, there's more, right? Oh my goodness. So that's the piece. Like, I just love walking on this journey with you other women. Kristen's on the call, Jody's on the call too. And Karen Marie from California, she's been getting up at 7, well, before 7 a.m. every morning. So big shout out to her. Yay. I just love this opportunity for us to come together and become the best versions of ourselves, and know that we're not even there yet. Well, I shouldn't say best, it's a better version, right? Because
Yes,
it's the journey.
it is. And
And
it's an
what's-
ongoing journey. It doesn't end. It's ongoing. We always are learning. And, you know, I had a coach say to me, Bonnie, you're a learner, you know, and it's true, because you'll meet people and they're just happy with where they are. Oh yeah, I don't want to go there, you know, right? So many people like that. And so it's delicious to be able to meet other people who are learners and who are on that journey and just want to keep thriving and growing, you know. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
So there's a piece of clarity. Do you remember when you first started? Because it takes a step, and we don't always have the clarity for what that first step was, or what helped you get to that first step. Do you remember what it was for you?
Okay, so I have to say it was my daughter telling me I was going to become a grandmother. And because I had been drinking for 42 years, I was starting to recognize it as a problem, because I was drinking alone. Because I was alone. I was out of a relationship now, and so now I was alone, and all of a sudden I had this image like that I'm going to lose him somehow. He's not going to be able to be in my life, you know? And so, and I knew that was connected to the drinking, that somehow I'm going to do something stupid, you know? I'm going to drop him or something. So I had decided then and there that I was going to quit drinking. And then I decided I was going to become a coach. And then I decided I was going to start on this transformational journey, so that I could walk the talk, so that I could, and not realizing what was going to unfold before me, you know, that I was going to, I never thought of my divine intelligence as being God, or as being this guiding light for me. And it has become that, and it is who I am. That's me. That's me. And it still boggles my mind, but that's where it all started. And so it was like starting with a bunch of puzzle pieces, and like, oh, where do I go? Do I go here? And listening to everything out there, and then starting to begin to now listen more inside, right? And finding clarity within, not out there. It wasn't out there. It was like, oh, all these puzzle pieces out there. And I can't make any sense of all this because it was all out there. I was looking all out there. And then when I started looking within, I felt that power guiding me. And it was like, just, it's clear. It's okay. Everything's, don't worry about all that out there. It'll all come together, and yeah, I really come a long way.
Well, and we've had conversations about it too. And I think this is important to say, because I can speak from my space. Our darkest days were when our inner guidance was really trying to stand up for us. So that's some of what created such a fight, because we each have specific memories where we're like, wait a minute, that's what we used to judge ourselves harshly for. And to be able to look at that and say, you know what, that was me, the true, authentic me, trying to speak up, trying to be heard. Yeah. And so that's where the grace comes into our life, where we can say, wait a minute, that was actually a really beautiful moment, even though it was one of my darkest days. And that's, right. I say that, like, our darkest day doesn't have to be the end of our story. That's where our stories begin, isn't it?
Begins.
Yeah.
It begins there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because recognizing that darkness as a place we need to be in order to grow, in order to want to look for the light, in order to say, I need light. I can't see. I need light. I have to find it.
Crack the door. Yeah. Yeah. Well, for me, a similar, like, my turning point was starting to find compassion for others. You were talking about the people that we have in our life, and really getting to the point of speaking vocally about having compassion for people that most people don't have compassion for.
Right.
As a society, we tend to look at things as all good or all bad. Oh, they're a bad person. Well, what's the other side of that? If I think they're just a bad person, then that makes me just be a bad person. And so if I am putting limitations on them, those are the same limitations chains that I'm putting on myself. So that, for me, that was a huge changing point, was being able to speak compassionately, and then compassion led to forgiveness for others. Because for me, it was easier to forgive others first. And I had to. That was part of my journey. I absolutely knew that I had to. Like, I was fine with not saying bad things about people. Like, can we just leave it at that? But then the next step is, what is the forgiveness? And really being okay in my soul. And then starting to see the gifts. You talk about gratitude, Bonnie, and that's huge. Seeing the gifts in what happens, the gifts that others give to us directly or indirectly, the gifts that we take from that, and then the clarity that comes from that, and then the clarity and the grace to know that no matter what happens, we can do this, and not by ourselves.
No, not by ourselves. We have soulful sisters right here, right now.
We do. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
And sometimes it does.
Goosebumps.
It is goosebumps. And sometimes it does take somebody from the outside, like your daughter, saying, hey, life is about ready to change. Do you want to be part of this? Yeah.
And then it's that little voice inside that I kept pushing down, right? Because if you're not if you don't feel that you're worthy, you're not listening to that. When you start to listen to that, it just grows on you, and then it just becomes that's me, here I am, and you're showing up for yourself. You're loving yourself,
It's like when you
You
put on,
loved you all along, you know,
yeah,
now you see it,
Melissa and I were talking about this. It's like when you put on a new pair of shoes,
right?
you walk differently, right?
Well, it's like my new glasses. Remember, I got my new
Oh, I
glasses and there
love
was
that.
something that there was some kind of change. And I said, well, I'm seeing through new lenses. Literally, I'm seeing through new lenses. And it was so great. It was that metaphoric, thing of
yeah.
having new glasses. Yeah.
Oh, it was that dramatic for you though, too. Not that your prescription changed that much, just the fact of knowing that it's a constant reminder every time you put your glasses on that you are looking at life through new lenses.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So I love this conversation. I love clarity. I can talk and talk and talk about clarity. It's my favorite.
Yeah.
Well, and connections too, and confidence. And I think all three of them come together.
Right.
So what words of encouragement, Bonnie, do you have, vibrancy, joy, freedom, about others who might be on the fence because when we're on the fence, it feels like that next step is the scariest one, but it only has to be one small step.
Right. And, so I just have to say that being on the fence is about self-doubt. Being on this fence is not trusting ourselves, right? And it could be just a fleeting moment of not believing in ourselves, because if we believe that we have that greater self within us, if we can believe that, then we know that doubt is going to pass. So believe that the doubt is going to pass, and then look for what it is you really want. What do you really want? I want more vibrancy, joy, and freedom. I want to live my life like that every day.
Yeah.
And I will get bombarded with many things that can throw us off. Death in the family, there's losing a job, there's so many things that can throw us off. But if I have the tools to know how to tap into the vibrancy, the joy, and the freedom in my life, then I will get through that. I believe I will get through that, because I believe I was brought into this world to find the greatest part of me and live it.
Well, and that ties really well into what we were talking the other 2 days too, about going from the trauma zone to the empowered entrepreneur zone. That if we try to do both at the same time, that creates the inner fight. What you're talking about, what you want and what you believe, is that inner genius. That's your inner intelligence. You call it your divine intelligence. If you ask different questions, because we all can find ourselves in that space of saying, oh, I'm not good enough, or this is never going to work out, or what was I thinking? I'm not worthy. That's a big one that I hear women talk about. But if you believe and you have your team of women, and it can be anybody, because that's how do you take that first step? We talk about just find one new person in your life. One new person that has something that you want to be like, and reach out to them.
Yes.
We're a world now that there are enough of us that are wanting to help each other. I saw a post this morning that she isn't your competition. She is proof that it can be done, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So when you
Yeah.
have the clarity, we talk about this all the time, that we all rise together, and just finding that one step. Try something new today. What does make you feel alive? Do one little thing. It can be a song I found. I'm going to tell a little secret. Bonnie, I love the songs that we listen to, and I love your sound list that you provide every week. And then you tuned me into one, I Gotta Be.
Yeah.
And there's a key phrase in that says, challenge what the future holds.
Yes. Desiree.
Desiree.
D-E-S-apostrophe-R-E-E. She's great.
I listened to that song for a week to get my mindset to a place. I would wake up in the morning and it would be playing in my head before I got out of bed.
Right.
Challenge what the future holds. How often do we challenge what the future holds? And the power music. So my silly one is, I was just playing it this morning. Brother Bear has a song that I shared. It's I'm on my way.
Hey, I'm on my way. I love it. I love that song.
And so there's just, when we're talking about, because I'm really aware that not all of our situations can change in the immediate, depending on what's going on. but there are small things that we can do that start to change us from the inside. And so there are, like, whether it's a song that we listen to or a person that we reach out to, there are things that we can do to keep safe, because as trauma survivors, safe means different things for different people.
Right.
And so as you're looking for what vibrancy, joy, and freedom means for you, you will find clarity. And as you take that first step, more opens up. We talk about this where it's almost like as we take these steps, and Chantal and Melissa, I think we've talked about this too, where it starts to pull you. It doesn't feel like it takes as much effort anymore.
Right. Yes.
Right? It just
Yeah,
seems
because
like,
of the clarity. Because of the clarity.
This is natural.
Yeah.
Right? This is naturally, and this is easy. And it gets easier to stand up for ourselves because we're like, no, this is good for me. I know Karen Marie talks about centering, Chantal talks about centering too, like making sure your feet are on the floor, and that, you know, the whole, like, that you're in alignment and that the energy can flow through you, not get stuck in you.
Yeah.
So we had this lovely conversation about clarity and how you can attract great clients. So how does this attract great clients for you? You make eye contact with people, you make heart-to-heart contact with people, you create your group, and your group grows. You know, one of my goals is to mentor 1,000 women this year. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but what I know is that I take time to make eye contact with each woman. I know each of your names. We've got some big plans. We've got some retreats that we're waiting for COVID to let us do. Darn it.
Yeah.
We were so close.
I know.
It's still going to happen. We're not giving up.
Yes.
But it's just so important for us to, and that's part of like reaching out to other women, because it's that whole ripple effect. The more clarity we have, the more we can help others with that same clarity. There's no reason why we have to be sitting at home by ourselves with the circular thoughts going through our heads. And I'm not saying that from a place of judgment. I'm saying that from a place of care.
Yes, because I know that I was in a place of darkness, and I felt alone, and I felt shame. I felt blame. I felt guilt. I felt I'm not worthy, and I could not reach out to people. I couldn't do it. Not my own family, not the closest people to me. I couldn't. In fact, I kept people away from me. I kept a shield so people couldn't get through, because I wasn't going to burden them.
Right.
I wasn't going to burden people, right? Couldn't do that. And because I'm not worthy. And so it's like, wow, remember that, Bonnie, when you were way back there? You know, and now to be in a group speaking here today,
Yeah,
with soulful sisters, it's like,
yeah. I know. It's such a blessing. Yeah.
it sure is. It sure is. It's just wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Barbara.
Oh, I'm thankful for you too, Bonnie. I'm so grateful. And for Melissa and Chantal for sharing your wisdom too. And just for this group, because each of us, like with Karen Marie, Kristen, Jody's going to get her turn too. With each of us, as we touch each other, they did this. My mind goes into the science mode sometimes. They did this, the study about whether or not somebody who shook John F. Kennedy's hand could still have the DNA, like if there was a DNA transfer, like they did it like in the early 2000s or whatever, just to see if it was still possible, because you know that whole thing. And so I just think about it from a medical perspective with Dr. Melissa Liborski. She's the doctor on the call. So I just think about it from this medical perspective, like as we share with each other, as we share our stories, as we share our space, as we share our dreams and our beliefs, we become larger, and we all become part of each other. Like as Karen Marie talked with us on Monday, and Kristen on Karen Marie was Tuesday. I got to start on Mondays or something. Karen Marie was Tuesdays and Kristen was Wednesday, and now Yvonne on Thursday. We aren't ourselves anymore. We're a bigger version because we have pieces of each other with our souls. As trauma survivors, we tend to be animal lovers, and I have this practice that's super crazy. I guess it's a meditative thing. I love laying face to face, nose to nose with my animals and sharing the oxygen. In this crazy thought that maybe, you know, we're sharing some DNA, who knows? Oh, Jody is saying we become a line or a chapter in each other's stories. It's so, so true. It's not just us anymore. And that's the good and the, like, that's all the good news. It's not just us anymore. So because it is a journey, and we're always climbing on a couple of stairs every now and again, and it's not just us anymore. Yeah, it's beautiful. Okay, we don't need to hear any more about my crazy animals. Gosh, this has gone so fast. Bonnie, is there anything else before I wrap up? This is beautiful. Thank you. There's been lots of comments. Folks,
Yeah, I know Chantel said a few things there. I've read them quickly. So
oh,
beautiful.
Teresa.
Oh, Teresa.
Oh my goodness. Hi, Teresa. Wow, beautiful. Yeah, there's been so many comments. Moving the body moves the energy and gets the mind unstuck. It sure does, Chantel.
And the more you give, the more you're able to receive.
Yeah.
So receiving for trauma survivors, I think, is hard, right?
Yeah.
Don't want to receive. We'll give because we're people pleasers. We'll give and give and give and give, but no, we don't need that. No, it's okay. No, it's okay. No.
Yeah.
And so as we allow ourselves, give ourselves permission, to be the givers, right? Because now we're opening up from our hearts and we're okay with receiving. And this is what we're doing. We're receiving right now, and we're giving and receiving. And it's not about, oh, you gave, oh, my turn to receive, it's just, that's who we are now, right?
Yeah, it's
givers,
the flow
we're
of the energy.
receivers. We're givers, we're receivers. It's a nice energy flow.
Yeah. I have a friend, Teresa, who's on the call, and she talks about being a giver, and she so is. It's one of those things that we know that we can do to make, and especially coming from trauma, we know that giving, we know how much it means. And the next step is receiving. We need to learn how much that means. Because somebody told me once that if you feel that you're blessing others when you give to them, then you're not allowing them to bless you.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, Chantal said, thank you for speaking to the shame and breaking the isolation. It's just so important. Yeah. All righty. Well, we're going to have more conversations like this. We've got another one coming up next Tuesday at 10 a.m. And that one, we're going to work more through the pieces of how to craft your story, because so often we look at our stories and say, oh, that was no big deal. Or we completely talk over something. As I work with people to create their stories and I start asking questions, what I often find is after the fact, I get a lot more messages. Oh, and there was this, and oh, there was that. Yep. We're really good about talking about what we've accomplished. But what really starts to attract great clients is to talk about who you were that led you, that drove you to become those accomplishments. So it's the pre-story. It's the prequel kind of to who you became that really attracts and interests people. So this is going to be live on Sisters. Actually, it's live right now on Sisters Rocking Courage. And stay tuned for next Tuesday. And then Bonnie, do you want to talk more about Awakening the Dancer Within? We will put the link down there. It's a really fantastic group to connect with. And then Melissa, like, we've got all kinds of links. If you need any form of healing, if you're looking for any form of being on the healing journey, this is a whole group of women who each have their own specific talents and their own story that they bring to it. So just reach out. We're here for you. Bonnie, go ahead.
Yeah, so Awakening the Dancer Within is a group that I started on Facebook after when the pandemic hit, because I was doing it live at a 55+ center, and I had about 12 women. We would meet and we would just dance, expressive dance, and I'd make my playlist. And so I continued to do that on Facebook in the group. So I put together an hour or at least of music based on a theme. So I choose a theme each week, and this time it was fear to confidence. So this Tuesday it was going from fear to confidence. So I talk about that a little bit. I send out a little blog with the playlist, just before I go live at 7 o'clock. And I just talk a little bit about the theme, and I talk a little bit about movement and dance and different ways that we can do things, because we're all so different and we all have different timelines, you know, and we all have busy lives and all that, but just how to begin to really make movement a part of your everyday life, and how
Yeah.
important that is, and the benefits that we reap from that in both body, mind, and spirit, right?
Yep. And thanks to technology, it's something you can do from your phone. So
Yeah.
yeah, for
But join the
people that
group
are watching.
if
Yeah,
you haven't already. Yeah.
that's wonderful. Yeah. Alrighty. Anything else from anybody? This has been a wonderful chat. It's my favorite. I love talking about clarity. Yay. Thank you all for coming, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Barb. Love
You're
you all.
welcome.